So Arizona, since the federal government totally fails to secure the border, desperately then passed laws to protect its own people. The law is supported by 70% of the people in Arizona, 60% of all Americans, and 50% of all Hispanics, according to the Wall Street Journal NBC poll done just this week. And I understand that you may file a lawsuit against the law. It seems to me the administration ought to be enforcing border security and immigration laws and not challenge them, and that the administration is on the wrong side of the American people. Have you read the Arizona law?
I have not had a chance to. I've glanced at it. I have not read it.
It's 10 pages. It's a lot shorter than the health care bill, which was 2,000 pages long. I'll give you my copy of it if you would like to have a copy. Even though you haven't read the law, do you have an opinion as to whether it's constitutional?
I've not been briefed yet. We, as I said, have had underway a review of the law. I have not been briefed by the people who have been responsible for that review.
Are you going to read the law?
I'm sure I will read the law in anticipation of that briefing. I know that they will put that in front of me, and I'll spend a good evening reading that law.
Well, I've gone through it, and it's pretty simple. It takes the federal law and makes it, enacts it in a state statute, although makes it much more refined in that it actually says in one of the sections, no state or subdivision may consider race, color, national origin in implementing the requirements of any subsection of this law. Seems to outlaw racial profiling in the law. I know there's been a lot of media hype about the legislation. Do you see a difference in the constitutionality of a statute and the constitutionality of the application of that statute? You see there's a difference in those two?
Sure. There's a potential for challenging a law on its face and then challenging a law as it is applied. So there are two bases for challenging a particular statute.
And when do you think you will have an opinion as to whether the law is constitutional?
I've used this term a lot, but I think this is accurate. I think relatively soon. I think that we have to, there's been much discussion about this. The review is underway. The Department of Justice, along with the Department of Homeland Security, is involved in this review, and I would expect that our view of the law will be expressed relatively soon.
You have some concerns about the statute, and it's hard for me to understand how you would have concerns about something being unconstitutional if you hadn't even read the law. It seems like you wouldn't make a judgment about whether it violates civil rights statutes, whether it violates federal preemption concepts if you haven't read the law. So can you help me out there a little bit, how you can make a judgment call on that, but you haven't read the law and determined whether it's constitutional or not?
Well, what I've said is that I've not made up my mind. I've only made the comments that I've made on the basis of things that I've been able to glean by reading newspaper accounts, obviously on television, talking to people who are on the review panel, who are on the review team that looking at the law. But I've not reached any conclusions as yet with regard to it. I've just expressed concerns on the basis of what I've heard about the law. But I'm not in a position to say at this point, not having read the law, not having had the chance to interact with the people who are doing the review, exactly what my position is.